All right, welcome in again. Road to Retirement, Tony Marlette Jr. at Brookside Financial, along with Tony Shore over at Gradient in Minneapolis. Good morning.
The Minneapolis, that's right. That's where I'm at. The weather's great here, nice and cool. Slept with the windows open last night. Cool, crisp weather. I love the fall.
That's nice. That's really great when you can sleep with the windows open.
Oh, love it.
Wofo,
Yeah.
wofo. Windows open, fan on.
Yes,
Wofo.
that's how I like it. That's
Sleeping
how.
wofo.
Yep, there you go. I'd never heard that one before, but that is how I like it. So, how was your Labor Day weekend, Tony? Did you have a chance to get an extra day off there and relax?
I did actually. I took. We have baby coming up in October, so I took. I'm gonna have some time off there, taking an extra week. But I have had one day left, so I figured I'd take it on Tuesday, 2 days ago. Extend the Labor Day weekend a little bit.
Nice.
Hung out with my son, and yeah, before that, let's see, what Friday, Saturday, we were up. My parents have a lake house on Lake Erie, so we went
Nice.
there, just like a little mini vacation spot. They like it a lot up there, but we had the whole family up there. How about you guys?
Yeah, we went to the Minnesota State Fair, which is the second largest state fair in the country. It's huge. In fact, it would be the largest, but
I was gonna say it has to be Texas.
Texas has the largest because theirs is 2 weeks long, so their overall attendance is bigger, but we set the single day record this year. I think we had 230,000 people,
Wow.
on one day at our state fair, and that was the day I was there, so long lines, but, the state fair is all about healthy eating, Tony,
Oh, absolutely.
and, you know me, I'm a health nut, so I like to go to the fair. The deep fried Twinkies,
Ooh,
deep fried Twinkie, you can actually feel your arteries harden as you eat
you
it.
can feel them clogging up.
Yeah. Yeah, the deep fried cheese curds, the pork chop on a stick, the Pronto Pups and corn dogs, it's just delicious.
Yeah, we had Oktoberfest. I went to
Oh,
our
that's
our
fun.
our Oktoberfest, right, actually not too far away from our office, and it was pretty crowded. If I do anything, I usually settle for. I like the elephant ear.
Oh, yeah.
Those are pretty good. And when we were up at my parents' place, they had a food truck. There was a bar on the lake over there. And there was a food truck. They had a bowl. I was there with my niece. We were getting something to eat, but they had a bowl called a stoner bowl. And the stoner bowl has bacon, melted cheese, potatoes, uh, hamburger meat, French fries, and coleslaw all in a bowl.
Wow.
So
That's
everybody who
crazy.
came up to the my niece got like French fries or something, or like cheese fries, but
Sure.
everyone who came up to the thing was like, "Does that say Stoner Bowl? Does that say Stoner Bowl?" And I'm like, I said the same thing. I'm like, "Does that say Stoner Bowl?"
That's crazy.
So yeah,
Did
let's
you
talk
have
about.
one? Did you have it?
I did
Uh,
not. No.
it sounds like you'd have to be pretty brave or maybe stoned to wanna participate in that. That's not good. That's funny. Well, there's all sorts of crazy foods at these, late summer, festivals and fairs. That's kinda fun. It's all part of the fun, but we're headed into fall, so it's time for, an overall review, I think, of what's going on out there, Tony. What
Yeah.
is happening?
Yeah, good question. So I think it's a foregone conclusion at this point. We're going to get a rate drop in September in a couple weeks when the Fed meets. We've
Yep.
expected this. This has been anticipated for uh, quite a while now by a
Yeah.
lot of people. I, one thing that got me thinking, and it's been a while, like we're kind of in the middle between tax season. So it's been 5 months since it ended. We got about another 6 or 7 months until, well, let's say another 5 or 6 months until we're back into it.
Mhm.
But I was thinking about it anyway. Is is cash really, even with high rates, is cash really a good place to be? And this got me
Hmm,
thinking a little bit.
interesting.
So when we do tax returns,
Mhm.
we have a lot of our clients bring in bank statements, interest statements from CDs, money markets that come due. So the rates they give you on those are obviously annualized. So say they're saying a 5% money market and it's only good for 6 months. Over those 6 months, you don't get the full 5%. You'd get about 2.5%. So let's say you did hold your money market all year long. It's a 5% money market and you hold it from January 1st until December 31st, just say. In hindsight, looking back, inflation, let's just say, was around 3% over the last year. Average
Mhm.
out, let's just say 3%. So
Yep.
that 3% inflation still digs into your 5% rate of return.
Oh, sure.
And you're bringing in that tax form, and you're probably going to pay 20, 25% taxes on that interest. So let's just say your interest nets out at 2%, 25% on that. Let's just call it half a percent, 0.4% that you're paying in tax or netting it out against that. So your real rate of return on that probably around 1%.
Yikes.
Yeah. Um, and in that time, you could have put money into the market, even if you're worried about the market being at a high or not having much value. You can dollar cost average your way into the market. There were some excellent buying opportunities this year, April, or last October, if we go back almost a year,
Yeah.
and then April, and then beginning of August, and then it looks like beginning of September is shaping up to be a little bit of a buying opportunity too. So there's different ways to do this.
Sure.
Obviously, hindsight being 2020, but when they have those flashing signs, even for a CD or a money market at 5%, you got to ask yourself, is this really all that it's cracked up to be?
Right. You do. But when you say cash, and we're being kind of critical of people who keep it in cash, even worse than money market is just having it in a regular old savings or checking account. Sometimes people are so afraid of any risk that they put it in a savings or checking where there's little to no interest at all.
Right.
And I mean, some interest bearing savings or bank accounts have done a little better with higher interest rates, but still in the long run, most of them not. You end up like you said, you end up really making on your money very, very little. You're not even coming close to keeping up with inflation.
Well, right. And then some people would make the argument to your point, well, at least I didn't quote unquote lose anything. Well, that's not entirely accurate because when you lose money to inflation, it's realized.
Yes.
If you have temporary losses in the market and you don't sell, that's unrealized. So you are losing something by keeping it in a
Right.
checking or a savings. Now, that's not to say don't keep anything in a checking or savings. You need to have that cushion. You need to have some spending money. You need to have bill pay,
Yeah.
emergency money, etc.
Yeah. And I think it's good to look at it in, like you said, with the money market, whether it's that type of timed account or not. Take a year. Okay, from January 1 of last year to January 1 of this coming year, if I'd had that money instead of sitting in the bank, if I'd had it invested, did I really would I have lost money? Probably not. We'll see how we come out by the end of the year, but right now for the year we're still way up. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
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 it depends on how much time you have with your money. If it's money you need within the next 6 months, well, yeah, that makes sense then to
sure.
have it in cash or in the bank or a money market. But if you don't need the money for a while, it's better to have it. If you can let it sit for a year, why would you just leave it in a savings account? I never understood that.
Yeah, we see a lot of that. I've seen a lot of that throughout my career, especially when I was with the banks as an advisor. I was with two regional banks.
Sure.
We saw a lot of that. There were a lot of opportunities, and then the where the
I mean, it's
rubber
great
meets.
for the banks.
Well, sure, right, right. They'd
Yeah,
even tell you though, it's better even for the banks if they have broker dealer arms, which a lot of them do. They want that money. They'd rather have it at the broker dealer or the
sure,
investment advisory arm of
sure.
it rather than the
Yeah.
money market. But at the same time, where the rubber meets the road here is we've been we have a sign out front. We've been talking about taking advantage of the last of the elevated rates. And people oftentimes will call us and say, I saw your sign out front. It says I can get 5% guaranteed for 3 years. I can do better at my bank and get 5% in the money market. Well, yes, but keep in mind that 5% that we're guaranteeing you minimum for 3 years, just say,
Right.
a fixed, a multi-year guarantee annuity, tax deferred, guaranteed for the next 3 years, not for 6 months where we divide your 5% by two and you get 2.5%. It's taxable. And oh, by the way, it didn't even keep up with inflation. So you're really ending up with zero.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to take advantage of that. We actually do have some people that are doing that over the next week or two coming in to talk about deferring taxes on some of this money and getting it guaranteed. Just say hypothetically 5% per year, which is not a number I'm just pulling out. 5% per year for the next 3 years guaranteed. So
Wow. And that's good considering interest rates we know are coming down.
that's
So,
the other thing. You're not going to find that anymore. I'd be surprised uh, by Thanksgiving or Christmas if you're going to be able to find anything like that, even on a 6-month money market.
no, you have to take advantage of these types of things when they're happening, and you have to look at, okay, we know interest rates are going to come down. The Fed has indicated that, so we're almost certain of that, and other things too. We know we're in historically low tax rates too right now, so now might be a good time for those Roth conversions, right?
That's a good point. I've been reading on those. We've been doing some of these Roth conversions. If you're doing this on your own, beware because there's a lot of things you need to take into consideration. So
Sure.
Medicare's got the 2-year look back. We want to make sure we're not inflating your income so you pay more if you're going to be eligible for Medicare in the next couple of years. If you're still working, this money gets added onto your income for the year. So you're right. We are seeing. I think I've told you and I've said on here before. I've done more Roth conversions over the last 1 year than I've done in my career total up to this point.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I think people are taking advantage because they know that Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that lowered all the federal tax rates is going to expire the end of
Right.
next year. So,
Yep.
who knows if they'll reinstate it or not. I mean, right now it's pretty up in the air and everybody thinks that they'll have to raise taxes, but
Right.
no one has a crystal ball, but we can look at what's happening and what the indicators are. And I know that's what you keep an eye on. And that's why I love talking to you, Tony, because you're trying to keep an eye on all of this stuff and you do what you can to help your clients and do what's best for them based on their personal situation. When it comes to investing in these financial accounts, it depends on each person's situation, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Is that the reason you love talking to me? Or is it so we can have fun at Chris and Selmo's expense? Or is it
Oh,
because of the way the light shines off my head? I mean,
wow, you're hitting all the points. I mean, I do have a list, and you've all three of those things are on the list. That's for sure. There are many reasons I love talking to you, Tony. Making fun of Chris, that might be at the top. Great financial tips, that's probably up there. Maybe that comes in second though to our chance to give Chris a hard time. I told
understood.
him about what you said about there are two people that work for Brookside Tax and Financial, Chris Anselmo and not Chris
That's
Anselmo.
that's correct. Did he agree with you?
He just kind of chuckled and then moved on. You know how he
Yeah.
is,
Yep.
and he's got something on his mind.
Yep.
He's like, okay, and
Yeah.
then he just launches into. So today, I thought we'd talk about.
Yes. It's like you've met him before.
Yes, yes, and I love working with Chris too.
Yeah.
You guys have a great team there.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, our listeners out there, if they have questions about where they're at, do I have too much money in safety? Do I not have enough in growth? Or maybe as I'm getting older, I've got too much in growth, too much still in the market at risk, and I need to be thinking about some of these safer options where there are principal protection or locking in interest rates for a longer period of time with some of these products like you were talking about, how can they get a hold of you and do that?
Yeah, so you can stop in. I've told you before, and you've been to our building. We get quite a bit of walk in. You can come in, schedule an appointment, go online at brooksidetax.com, or of course, do it the old fashioned way and just give us a call. Um, Pretty simple.
Yep.
So
What's that? Give that number for our audio listeners on the podcasts out there.
good call. Yes. Thank you. 440-886-3550. We'll take a look at your entire financial picture, put a report together for you with our partners over at Gradient. Our website is brooksidetax.com. And again, the phone number 440-886-3550.
All right. Well, another great episode of The Road to Retirement with our host, Anthony Marlette Jr.
Thanks, Tony.
Yep.